Hello everyone, welcome to our Rhash-Algo channel. In this video, we are going to talk about Python loops. Let's look at Python loop execution cycle where at the beginning of the Python loop creation, we have to define loop type, whether it's a loop condition or not. We have to identify whether to use a for loop or while loop. But before even that, we have to see if the problem can be solved without even using the loop. But if at all the solution requires a loop to be executed, a loop to be created, we have to identify the proper loop condition that is required to define a loop. For example, for loop or while loop. Next step is initializing the loop. We have to set up the initial conditions for the loop to be started. Without even having some initial condition, it's not possible to start the loop conditions. We'll see that with some examples. Next step is execution block code. So whichever the code is part of the loop section which is indented under the for loop or under the while loop is called the block of a code, and that block of a code will be executed based on the conditions met. We have to run the code within the loops block based on certain conditions. Like for example, if the loop is keep on iterating over that specific block of code, yeah, that block of code will be executed. And if there are certain conditions like we have done in the if conditional checks, if we have to evaluate certain conditions like a logical conditional checks, like if some number is greater than some value, okay, in such cases we have to do the check conditions. And finally, we have to keep on repeating the loop, or we have to exit out of the loop if the loop condition is about to complete. Okay, these are the 5 steps we have to follow in the loop execution cycle. Okay, this is Rajesh Paleru, and if you want to follow me on the LinkedIn URL is provided at the bottom of the screen. Stay tuned, guys. Okay, let's move on with the loops available in the Python programming language with some examples and some theoretical concepts. First one is for loop. Okay, the syntax for loop is we have to start with for. That's the keyword. And item is nothing but one of the item within this sequence. The sequence can be any iterable. It can be list, tuple, string, or it can be range also. And this item is a temporary variable which we wanted to iterate over the sequence. And this code block is nothing but the block of code which will be executed within this for loop. For example, this program. Okay, let's write some sample program for you so that you will be able to understand that. Okay, I will write sample program 3.py for I in range. I am not going to create any list for simplicity purposes. I'll just write something like this: Python 3.py. What I got here is the list of numbers from 0 to 9, because the range starts from 0, the index starts from 0 in Python, and in this case range of 10, since the index starts with 0, index started with 0, and we have to have 10 elements. That's the reason we got till 9 only. If the index is started at 9, we could have got till 10, but the index started at 0, right? So to make sure that we have 10 elements only with the range of 10, we got up to 9. Okay, so now coming to this logic, what happened here is it iterated over the range of elements from 0 to 9, and it got printed value here by using the print statement. That's the simple thing. Okay, now let's move on to the next slide and see what we have in the plate. Okay, this is related to the while condition. Okay, while loop basically. So just like for loop, while loop starts with while keyword and a conditional check will be there, and then a code block where this specific code will be executed as soon as this while condition is true. Okay, let's write some program for that as well so that you will understand how it executes. 3.py naming convention you have to give in a proper way, guys. In my as per my convenience I am giving like 1 2 3 something like that, but this is not a good practice. You have to give something like while loop, for loop, something like that. Okay, um, that's not a big deal in my case because I am giving a demo, right? So I hope it's okay. Okay, yeah, now I will take some num int of input of enter a number. Okay, while num less than 10, print num. Okay, now let me clear the screen first. Okay, python 4.py. Okay, I will be entering a small number. Okay, 10. I will come back here. I will execute the program again. 15. Okay, let me execute the program again. 5. Okay. Okay, what happened here? When I entered 10 for the first time, it is checking while num less than 10. Is 10 less than 10? No, it's false because I am just checking only the less than symbol, not there is no equal to symbol here. Okay, that's the reason the condition check is false, and since it is false we didn't execute this block of code. And again on the next execution we entered 15. Okay, what happened here? 15 less than 10, is that true? No, right, it's false. So that's the reason this block of code is not executed. Now on the third execution, if you observe carefully, I entered 5. Okay, 5 less than 10, true. Then print 5. Then I am incrementing to 6. Again it will go back here, checks for this condition. 6 less than 10, true. It will print 6. Till 9 it is keep on repeating. Okay, now I printed 9. Okay, after printing 9 I am incrementing the number to 10, right? Then it becomes 10. Okay, after it is 10, 10 less than 10, it's false. So loop execution stopped. That's the reason we got these numbers printed here. So that's how the while loop will be executed. Okay, let's move on with some next steps. Okay, loop control statements. What is this? What is this? Okay, let me explain first so that you will get some theoretical concept. Okay, if you observe carefully and if you are following through my lectures very carefully, in my previous lectures I have explained somewhere about break and continue. We didn't go through this pass. Okay, we'll talk about this as well. But break, it exit the loop prematurely. Continue, skip the current iteration. Skip the current iteration only. Okay, exit the loop prematurely, which is break. Okay, we'll see some examples for this, guys. Let me give some file.py. Okay, for this I will write some sample program for num in range of 10 if num equal to 5 break, then print num. Okay, I would rather integrate both break and continue in the same program. so that it will be clear for you to understand what's happening. Okay, now I will have continue here. Continue. Okay. Okay, let me run this program. I'll minimize this. Okay, Python 5.5. Oh, sorry for the spelling mistake. Clear. So let me run one by one and explain you. Okay. Okay, what is break? What is the break thing happening here? Okay, I am repeating till 9 starting from 0 to index. Okay, if num equal to 5. Is that true? Because on the first iteration I will get 0. 0 equal to 5? No. Then print num, which is 0. I will be keep on repeating that, and I will be keep on coming till 4. Okay, if 4 equal to 5, it's false, right? So I will be not executing break, and I will be just printing num, which is 4. Then on the next iteration I will be getting 5, right? Okay, when I get 5, what happened here is 5 equal to 5. That is true. That's the reason we are into the break section, which means into this block of execution, and the break will be executed. Then prematurely this loop will be exited. Okay, that's the reason we printed till 4 only. Now let me uncomment this code and comment this code, and I will be running this program again. So if you observe carefully, what happened here is the execution will be same, just like the previous for loop. The execution will be same. The only difference is when num equal to 5. So when it reaches 5 equal to 5, it is executing continue, which means don't do anything after this line. Just go back to the for loop again and start from the next number, which is 6. So that's the reason you are not seeing 5 get printed here. Okay, that's the thing, guys. Okay, let's move on into the nested loops section. Okay, nested loops is a feature in Python, not just in Python, in any other programming languages also. We'll be having nested related concepts. Even in if also, conditional statements also, we have nested conditionals, and in the loops also we will be having nested loops. But the problem here is, if we start using these nested loops, what happens is time complexity will become like an exponential thing. For example, if you look at this specific block of code which is given at the bottom of the screen, for example this one, the complexity here is O of n square. Why? Because I am using for loops 2 times. Even if I use for loops 2 times, if they are separate for loops, the complexity, the time complexity is O of n. But here I am using for loops within another, like nested for loops. That's the reason the time complexity is O of n square. So it's better to avoid nested loops whenever possible. Okay. Okay, that's it pretty much from my side, guys. If you have any questions, leave a comment in the comment section, and please subscribe to my channel for more updates.